Hey guys, it's Dr. Chris, back with your 12 minutes to health that we do for you guys each and every week at TexasChiroHealth.com. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and not just joining us, but I noticed that a lot of you guys have been sharing this information and sending friends and family members to the office to get more research, to join us on Tuesday nights where we do these research assessments inside the office, and I really appreciate that. It's kind of positive reinforcement for me. I love doing these, but it's also nice to see people responding to them, and actually taking advantage of getting healthy and coming into the office and just seeing what we're all about. So thank you guys for doing that. I mentioned the Tuesday night, a really important time, really great time for you guys to come into the office so that you can get some of the research in your hands, sit there, talk with the doctors, see the offices, enjoy some of the refreshments and healthy snacks and smoothies and things like that we have for you guys. So it's great to see you guys in there on Tuesdays. Keep coming in, keep getting your questions answered with the doctors, and most importantly, keep finding the answers about how to eat well, how to move well, and how to think well. And what the research says about each of those things. And as I tell you guys each and every week, right, the real research, not just the marketing stuff that's out there. So many times I see, the new health fad that comes out, the new diet, the new exercise program, and it's research backed. And then you dig into the research and you find out that it's not research at all. When we talk about research, we want to stare at the randomized controlled trials, right? So that it's not just like, cause could equal effect. This is what is affecting your health. This is what's happening because it's been tested against the placebo or what we used to think was good. We're getting better results. That's what randomized controlled trials provide. So, like I said, keep coming after the research, keep tuning in for these talks, and keep getting the answers that you need. Whether it's eating well, moving well, or thinking well, it's all about being healthy, and that's why we do these. And so I just wanted to take a second and say thank you to you guys and remind you to come in Tuesday nights at 6 into the offices so you can get your questions answered by the doctors. Tonight's study we're going to look at is done by Ames et al., okay, and this one is called Oxidants, Antioxidants, and the Degenerative Diseases of Aging. And this is an interesting topic because, I don't want to throw anybody off here, but we're all aging. We're all getting older every single second, every single day, and we're all going to die at some point. And hopefully that's not a shock to you. The thing about that is that we can do it really quickly, right? And we can do it with a really poor lifestyle, or we can eat well, move well, think well, pay attention to the research and what it says to do, and slow this process down. And not just slow it down because, it's inevitable, right? Like I said earlier. But we can enjoy our life while we're here instead of living diseased, sick, inflamed, chronic diseases. You name it. I heard a statistic the other day, not from this article, but it was, I think it was adults. 1 in 4 have a chronic disease, and like 65% have more than one chronic disease. That's insane. We don't have to live that way, guys. These diseases we're talking about, it's not like I can get cancer because you breathe on me, right? Or diabetes or heart disease or strokes or, any of those other ones. I get it because of my lifestyle. Right? And there's all new studies coming out on epigenetics and different things, which I talk about. You can check out our YouTube channel, TexasChiroHealth.com, and get a lot of the videos and answers there as well. But let's dig into tonight's research because we can slow these processes down, and that's what this is all about. So I want to dig into that. And first, I want to start with what are oxidants, right? So antioxidants are all the fad or all the rage or whatever you want to say. You hear it all the time. This fruit is packed with antioxidants, or this drink has a ton of antioxidants, which I think the basic info out there is just that it slows down cancer, it helps prevent cancer, but there's so much more to it than that. When we look at aging, all chronic diseases, not just cancer, but all chronic diseases and our health and how we're living out our years. So oxidants basically are their byproducts of metabolism, right? We can get oxidants. Our body, we have endogenous oxidants, which are produced by our body. So yes, metabolism, cell division, all that stuff produces a negative effect, which is called oxidants. So humans are not set up to live forever. No animal is. Animals and their species are about reproducing. So our body's set up more for reproduction than it is for infinite life, okay? So what we need to look at is what are the byproducts of metabolism, just the normal cell division, metabolism, aging, all that stuff. So some of the oxidants, we see O2, and this should actually be O2 negative, right? Because it's oxygen that has an electron added to it. And that's called superoxide. And that's an oxidant. It's just a byproduct that naturally occurs in our body from all of these processes. There's H2O2, which is hydrogen peroxide, which again is just a byproduct and an endogenous oxidant. Then there's hydroxyl radical, which is a hydroxyl, and again, this should be negative as well because of the electron. But we're carrying around these oxidants that damage our DNA. It damages DNA, it damages proteins, and it damages lipids, okay? Proteins and DNA kind of make sense to people, but lipids are fats, right? And that's what makes up a lot of our body. Our cell walls are made up of lipids. That's probably the most important one because it protects our cells, so there's damage to those as well from these oxidants. And then if you look at exogenous oxidants, I'll give you a couple. There's a bunch, right? There's more oxidants that are endogenous. I just wanted to hit the major ones here. So if we look at iron, excess iron, and I'm going to talk about meat and things like that in a couple of minutes and why iron is an oxidant. But basically, this is another thing that if we have too much of it in our blood and too much is being taken in by us, we're going to damage our DNA and things like that at a higher rate. So one of the biggest ones that I'm sure you're familiar with and I want to include is smoking. Smoking's a big one. And the reason smoking, it creates nitrogen-based oxidants in our blood. But what that does is it diminishes the number of antioxidants that are in our blood. And antioxidants actually help us fight off oxidants, slow down cell division, slow down metabolism, all stuff that we're going to talk about here in just a minute. But it helps our body fight the DNA, protein, and lipid damage, okay? So it slows down the aging process, it slows down, it decreases the chronic disease effect, and basically it decreases chronic inflammation, which is a big deal when we look at all this, the oxidants and stuff, because that's where it comes from, is the inflammation speeds up cell division, we get more oxidants, we see more mutations, which we'll talk about. But smoking is a big one, guys. Smoking kills so many people. I think it killed, through the 90s, it was like 3 million people worldwide a year, 400,000 in the US, and we don't do anything about it. We keep producing cigarettes. We don't ban them or anything like that. Not that I think we should, but I think we should focus some time in educating people so that they make an informed choice versus just picking up cigarettes. I mean, we're still learning about this stuff, right? We used to prescribe cigarettes as an anti-anxiety medicine. Doctors used to prescribe cigarettes, even to pregnant women, before we knew what was going on. We knew what symptom it affected, which helped, and we didn't pay attention to the side effects. So the side effects are numerous. Smoking is one of the worst things you can do in the world. So just another reason why smoking is absolutely terrible for us. But like I mentioned, there's these oxidants damage the DNA, the proteins, and the lipids. Now, we have processes in our body that clean this up, all right? So it's not like every time this happens, the DNA is just damaged forever, because it happens about 10,000 times per day per cell, all right? And that's just a product of the metabolism and cell division and everything I was talking about. The problem is when we become chronically inflamed, okay? Because when you're inflamed, your body's trying to heal something all the time. That's what inflammation is. It can be good at times. When it becomes chronic, it's not so good. All right, and that's when this becomes an issue, because if we're chronically inflamed, we have a ton of inflammation going on, then we're going to have more rapid cell division. That gives less time for antioxidants and for our natural processes that clean up DNA, proteins, and lipids, all the enzymes that go in there and clean up the damage so that it's not as rapid. When they're dividing quickly, we can't clean them up. And then those mutations are passed on from this cell to that cell that just divided, right? Because it replicates exactly when it divides the cell. So if that's happening rapidly, when it gets really rapid, you start to see tumors and things of that nature, because the DNA is damaged and it can't be repaired because it's happening too quickly. So we need to slow down the inflammation, which will help us slow down the cell division, which we'll talk about in just a minute too. But one of the biggest things we need to do is decrease the negative effects. The negative effects are the inflammation that I was talking about, okay? So that chronic inflammation makes cell division happen more rapidly. Another way we can decrease the negative effects is by not smoking, for example, right? We can eliminate those things that are eliminating antioxidants or that are speeding this process up, right? So one of the biggest things we can do is change our diet, right? And I'm going to talk about it in a second, but when I talk about eat well, when I talk about move well and think well, these are all things that decrease these negative effects. Right? And I'll talk about some other options that we have here too on the next slide or two, but it's all about slowing this process down because we don't want chronic inflammation, which leads to chronic disease. We don't want chronic inflammation, which leads to rapid cell division and rapid aging, right? We're trying to slow down that process, slow down the degenerative process because we're trying to live our best life, right? It's not going to live forever. We're not going to get to that point, but we can slow down all the degeneration and we can decrease these negative effects that we're seeing from poor diet, from lack of movement, from improper movement, from being chronically stressed out, chronically inflamed, and just not having the positive mindset that actually reverses that. I've talked to you guys a ton of times about rocks in the backpack. That's what I'm talking. When I say decrease these negative effects, I'm saying get the rocks out of your backpack, right? And we've talked ad infinitum about how to do that through diet, through movement, through positive thought, and stress management. And like I said, you can check out the YouTube channel too, where I have all these other talks and get the information that you need on that. I just want to get to the rest of this article first. So how do we fight oxidative damage? The biggest thing we need to do, guys, is increase our fruits and vegetables, okay? The average American, actually it's like 9%. That's the number they gave in this article. 9% of the United States, of adults in the United States, get the required number of fruits and vegetables a day. 9%. That gives us a gigantic opportunity to drastically improve all the statistics that are in this article and reverse and slow down that oxidative damage we talked about in the first place. So fruits and vegetables are filled with antioxidants, and antioxidants are exactly like they sound. They're antioxidants. So they fight these oxidants that we naturally produce or that we take in when we take in too much iron, when we take in too much copper, when we're smoking cigarettes and creating those nitrogen-based oxidants that I was talking about in our blood. It's a big deal. We've got to fight these things off. So antioxidants, while we might not have a great idea about them, we have heard about them and heard that they're good. It's true. And as simple as I can make this, right? This article is filled with chemistry and physiology and just stuff that will confuse you more than anything. So I'm trying to simplify it as much as I can. And the simplest form I can put it is eat more fruits and vegetables. And that being said, I want you to eat more vegetables than fruits. All right, the 5 servings is recommended right now. I would recommend even more than that. But heck, if we can get everybody to 5 servings, I'll be over the top excited because we would be much, much healthier. Like I said, only 9% of Americans are getting that right now, and that's just the 5 servings. And it's suggested that 3 of those be vegetables and 2 of them be fruits. And that has to do with the sugars, the oxidative process, and the amount of antioxidants that are in there. There's also micronutrients that we find inside of these fruits and vegetables, which need to be studied more. And this study pointed that out. It said there needs to be more information on this in studies, but the preliminary stuff that we're seeing is showing that these micronutrients play a very big part in fighting off the oxidative damage as well, repairing DNA, repairing protein cells, and lipids as well. So big deal, eat more fruits and vegetables. So what are some action steps we can take? More fruits and vegetables, less meat. Right? Now, I am not saying go meat-free. In fact, I think that your diet should be about 15 to 20% meat and about 80 to 85% fruits and vegetables, and that's what I shoot for as well. Now, when I say meat, the reason meat can be damaging if you eat too much is because of that excess iron that we talked about. That would be an exogenous oxidative chemical that we're taking in, or an oxidant, excuse me. So an exogenous oxidant that we're taking in, when it gets to high levels, it becomes very damaging and we don't have enough antioxidants to go against it. However, if you're eating good meat at a ratio of 15 to 20%, like I said, the grass-fed, grass-finished beef, your wild-caught, cold-water fish, things like that, you're going to get good things out of those as well, like omega-3s, which help your lipids and things like that. You're going to get vitamin D. You're going to get all kinds of stuff that help reverse some of this. All right, so we need to eat less meat overall, I think, but we also need to eat zero traditional farm raised, kind of the major meat corporations, right? That's grain fed, that's farm raised fish, that kind of stuff, because it just causes inflammation to go up. And as we see, when inflammation goes up, cell division goes up. So we don't want that happening. We need to decrease processed food. And this is because that is just hugely inflammatory. And again, we need to stop the inflammation. Calorie restriction. This was a big part of the article. They showed that calorie restriction and even some protein restriction had kind of the same effect. So I do a whole talk on fasting, which you can find at TexasChiroHealth.com or on Facebook or the YouTube channel or wherever you're looking. But the calorie restriction or fasting, things like that, actually slow down the aging process because it takes away from your chronic inflammation, right? Your cells use everything more efficiently and we're less inflamed, which causes less division. Calorie restriction slows down cell division. So one of the most popular anti-aging things out there right now, which is just reducing oxidants and the amount of cell division, is reducing your calories through fasting and things like that. So that's a good one. And guys, as always, if we eat better, move more, and manage our stress, we're going to have a better health outcome because of the same reasons. We're going to slow down cell division, we're going to slow down aging, chronic inflammation, chronic disease, all of it, just by doing those three simple, not always easy, but simple steps really to eat better, move more, and manage our stress. So big action steps there. And that's a lot of information, right? I know I'm coming close to the 12 minutes, but like I said, guys, on Tuesday nights, we do these talks in the office. We have the YouTube channel. I know you guys have been sharing this information, and I appreciate that beyond words because it's getting the information out there, and we can truly be healthy. We're a sick nation. America is the sickest developed country in the world, and we take the most prescription drugs in the world. Right? We take the most painkillers in the world. I mean, all these things. If the drugs were the answer to health, America would be by far the healthiest place on the planet because we take 60% of the world's drugs. 60% of the entire world's drugs are taken in America, and we're the sickest country in the world. Now, drugs aren't the only factor in that. There's a ton that goes into it. We don't eat, move, and think like we should to start with, right? But that's where we need to start to address this stuff. And that's why we do this special offer in our office, because we want people to get this information, one, to get rid of pain and inflammation, two, and three, to start eating better, moving better, and thinking better to live a better lifestyle. So, our special offer is the same as it always is. We're looking to donate to the charity. So a $39 donation from you covers your first day in the office, where we go through the exam, we do our spinal health assessment, which is the software that we use, right? The proprietary health software to get you a spinal health score from 0 to 100, so that not only can we get you out of pain, and yes, that's one of the biggest things that happens, but as you're getting out of pain, you're also learning about your lifestyle, which this assesses, and where the inflammation's coming from and how we can reduce that and improve your spinal health score, thereby improving your health and all sorts of other things. The exam, the consultation, any x-rays that we need are in there, and this is just a $39 donation, guys, and we knock that down so that we can get you into the office. I mean, there's so many people that use the excuse of cost or the barriers of cost, and I don't have time, and I don't go away, all those things. We're trying to remove any excuses we can so that you guys can start to take care of yourselves and get healthy. I know these talks help, but you got to take action steps if you're going to get healthy. And that's what we're encouraging you to do. So give us a call, guys. As always, like this stuff, share it, put it out on social media, give it to your family members, loved ones, friends you care about. This information is great for everybody, and we just want people to be healthier. So give us a call. Let's see what we can do, and we'll see you next time on our 12 Minutes to Health. I really appreciate you guys joining. Thanks. See you next time.